이번 AKC2021은 지속가능성, 이코랩, 에너지를 주제로 클린텍원에서 이코랩과 함께 지속가능성, 이코랩, 에너지를 주제로 팬데믹 이후의 세상을 준비하는 컨퍼런스를 개최합니다. 10월 27일부터 30일까지 여러분과 함께 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Our nation is rooted in a few core beliefs: upholding the rule of law, ensuring non-corruptibility and meritocracy, fostering racial harmony and an inclusive, fair and just society, and always thinking ahead for future generations. These beliefs have kept us together and taken us forward, leading to national priorities, policies and programs that have benefited generations of Singaporeans. After more than 50 years of nation building, one imperative is growing in importance, and that is sustainable development.
Climate change is an existential threat of our times, bringing rising sea levels and extreme weather patterns, putting millions of lives and livelihoods around the world in danger. Singapore, as a low-lying island state, is particularly vulnerable. We embraced sustainable development decades before climate change became a critical global priority. Today, Singapore is a city in a garden and is one of the greenest cities in the world. We set aside large nature reserves with about a third of our island covered by trees. We knew public cleanliness and hygiene were important to prevent diseases in our hot and humid urban environment and took tough measures to enforce them.
We are the only country in the world to freeze the growth of our vehicle population. We are one of a few countries to have closed its water loop and to reuse every last drop of water. We moved significantly away from coal-generated power many years ago. We do not subsidize the use of fossil fuel, and in fact, we tax the emission of carbon. We will continue to build upon this strong foundation and launch a sustainable development movement for a better and greener future. This will strengthen ongoing efforts to implement our commitments under the UN's 2030 Development Agenda. This 10-year plan is called the Singapore Green Plan 2030, or in short, the Green Plan.
The Green Plan is a whole-of-nation sustainable development agenda with firm action plans touching almost every dimension of our lives. But we recognize our challenges. Being a small city-state, we are in a very different situation compared to bigger countries. We need to provide for defense, industries, homes, and critical infrastructure, all within our 728 square kilometers of land. We do not have the natural resources, land area, and climatic conditions for the large-scale deployment of renewable energy sources. These constraints make it extremely hard for us to achieve net zero emissions in the same way that bigger countries can pledge to do.
However, just like how we confronted many national challenges in the past, we can turn our constraints into strategic opportunities and be pioneers in technological and policy solutions for sustainable development. We can be a living laboratory which other cities around the world facing similar challenges can pick up ideas from. Depending on the results of our collective actions and that of the international community, we will review our current carbon emission commitments and seek to achieve net zero emissions as soon as we can. That way, we can punch above our weight and have a positive environmental impact well beyond our shores. In this video, we present to you the key programs of the Green Plan. Some of the initiatives will be familiar to you, others will be new.
By 2030, Singapore will be a green and beautiful city in nature. We will set aside 50% more land, around 200 hectares, for nature parks. Every household will live within a 10-minute walk of a park. we will plant 1 million more trees across our island, which will sequester another 78,000 tons of CO2. Singaporeans will enjoy cleaner air and cooler shade. With more green spaces, there will be more wildlife amongst us, from migratory birds and hornbills to otters and mouse deer. But some animals like wild boars and monkeys may get into conflict with people too. We will work with communities and NGOs to develop programs to allow people and wildlife to live in harmony.
Sustainability is also about you and me and the way we live. We aim to be a zero-waste nation powered by a circular economy with a high rate of recycling so that our precious resources can be used many times over. We have already closed our water loop by recycling our used water to make new water. We will make a similar strong push towards circularity in waste materials to transform trash to treasure. We will turn incinerated waste into new sand and use this for construction. We will build up Singapore's recycling capabilities by sorting better and reducing contamination. By 2030, we aim to reduce the waste sent to our landfill by 30%. We will front-load our efforts over the next 5 years to achieve a 20% reduction by 2026.
By 2030, our MRT network will be comparable in coverage to major cities like London and New York City. We will develop new town concepts such as Tengah, which will have the first car-free HDB town centre, with roads constructed underground, freeing up surface spaces for public transport, activities, and green spaces. At the same time, we will encourage walking, cycling, and active mobility. We have announced the plans to expand the cycling network. We will actively do more to repurpose roads and implement pedestrianisation wherever possible. Today, of all trips taken, 64% are on mass public transport, that is, bus and MRT. All these efforts will raise this modal share to 75% by 2030.
These environmentally friendly habits will take time to take root in our society. We must inculcate them early in our young, through education. We will start an eco-stewardship program involving all schools from primary to pre-U levels. As part of the program, we aim to reduce carbon emissions from the school sector significantly. We will get some of our schools to be carbon neutral by 2030, with the rest to follow thereafter. We will also use the new Science Centre at Jurong Lake District to help bring lessons on sustainability to life. We will help our students learn how to reduce their carbon footprint, make responsible decisions, and create a ripple effect on their families and friends. This expands the scope of our values in action education with sustainability as a key part of the curriculum. We want every student to understand, live, and practice sustainability.
Geographical constraints limit our options for renewable energy. We do not have great rivers for hydropower. We have neither land or sea space for large solar or wind farms. Despite these challenges, we will strive to use cleaner energy and become more energy efficient. We have shifted to using natural gas, which is the cleanest fossil fuel. We will quadruple our solar energy deployment by 2025, such as by covering the rooftops of HDB blocks with solar panels. By 2030, solar energy deployed will be 5 times that of today. We are also looking to tap green energy sources from the ASEAN region and beyond through electricity imports and hydrogen. We will invest in water research and development to halve the energy required to produce desalinated water. By this year, with floating solar panels on reservoirs, all our local water works will be powered by solar energy. Our waste treatment facilities such as Tuas Nexus will generate more energy than they consume. We already host the largest biodiesel plant in the world, which is being further expanded.
As an aviation and maritime hub, Singapore will play active and important roles in fulfilling two international goals. In aviation, 2% improvement in fuel efficiency every year from now to 2050, and carbon neutral growth from 2020. In maritime, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from international shipping by at least 50% by 2050, compared to 2008 levels. We can also use 15% less energy in HDB towns by 2030 through measures such as the widespread use of smart LED lights and solar energy. And beyond HDB towns, we will green 80% of all buildings over the next decade and develop eco-friendly districts as demonstration projects that we can scale up, such as the Jurong Lake District. Singapore's urban environment makes us an ideal city for adopting electric vehicles, or EVs. We have declared our Vision 2040 to phase out internal combustion engine vehicles and have all vehicles run on cleaner energy. To get there, we will require, by 2030, all newly registered cars to be cleaner energy models. We will more than double our EV charger targets from 28,000 to 60,000 by 2030. We will tap the capabilities of the private sector to build up this infrastructure. We will also revise the vehicle tax structure to make it easier to buy and to own EVs. All these efforts in industries, residential estates, commercial buildings, private transport will reduce our energy consumption by more than 8 million megawatt hours per year. This is the annual energy used by almost all households in 2030. And this will in turn reduce domestic greenhouse gas emissions by at least 3 million tons per year by 2030.
As sustainability grows in importance and consumers pivot towards greener and more sustainable products and services, it can become a key competitive advantage for us and present new opportunities for growth and job creation. We are therefore seeking new investments that are among the best in class in terms of carbon and energy efficiency. We introduced a broad-based carbon tax in 2019. Whatever we collect will be invested and used to support worthwhile projects to help enterprises reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. The government will introduce a new enterprise sustainability program to help enterprises, especially SMEs, to embrace sustainability and develop capabilities in this area. We can be a leading carbon trading and services hub, which is projected to be a multi-billion-dollar industry. We will create new and diverse job opportunities, and our vision is to be a leading center for green finance in Asia and globally. We will also promote homegrown innovation under the Research, Innovation and Enterprise Plan 2025 and attract companies to anchor their R&D activities in Singapore to develop new sustainability solutions for Asia and the world. These include decarbonization technologies such as carbon capture, utilization and storage, low carbon hydrogen, and solutions to enhance energy efficiency and enable a circular economy. Jurong Island will be a model for the adoption of such solutions as it transforms into a sustainable energy and chemicals park.
Against rising sea levels, we're developing new solutions and a better understanding of our coastlines. We will put in place the physical defences to protect our coastlines along the east coast, around Lim Chu Kang, Sungai Ketut, and Jurong Island. Lying 1 degree north of the equator, Singapore will always be hot and humid. But we don't want temperatures to be unbearably high. Urban heat is all around us. For example, the kind that you feel while standing behind an air conditioner. We will moderate the rise in urban heat by increasing greenery and piloting the use of cool paint on building facades. We are increasing local food production to make our food supply more resilient. We have announced our 30 by 30 target to produce 30% of our nutritional needs by 2030 locally. We will do this in partnership with a vibrant agri-food industry and our communities.
The Green Plan is a living plan, which will evolve as we engage Singaporeans through Singapore Together to harness more ideas and put them into action. Every one of us can play a part and help seize the moment to transform our nation.
In 1965, shortly after Singapore became an independent nation, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew said, "Over 100 years ago, this was a mudflat, swamp. Today, this is a modern city. 10 years from now, this will be a metropolis. Never fear."
Having come from mudflats to metropolis, we will turn our metropolis into a global city of sustainability.
This metropolis of ours will be a bright green spark, inspiring the world and our future generations.
Let's work together for a brighter and greener future.
Idea of biophilic design is how do we then design in such a way that we embrace nature, we try to bring nature into the city.
A biophilic building attempts to replace walls and windows and columns and signs and neon with leaves and bark and birds and insects.
There are benefits of connectivity with nature because I think it's a combined effect of psychological health as well as physiological health, where the fresh air as well as natural light, because that helps body generate vitamin D. User also found that in Khoo Hospital, they experienced greater sense of calm and lower stress levels. And these patients also took fewer strong doses of painkillers.
What we've been interested in is, can we achieve this in a high-density city? So can we make 100% replacement of the green area of the city? Or can we even exceed it? The most we've achieved is on the Oasia Downtown Hotel, where we have 1,100% of green plot ratio. So this means we have 11 times the amount of nature in the building than we would if we had no building at all. We just had the empty site as a garden. Even with just 10% of new buildings having 1,000% of nature, we can quite rapidly retrofit a city to have the equivalent of 100% green cover of the city. As humans, we evolved in nature, surrounded by the natural world. So living in cities is something quite unnatural for us. It seems to be causing a series of psychological and physiological problems. We're actually surrounded by a lot of things that have too much cultural loading on them. Everything that your eye rests on is created by humans. There's very much a geometry that surrounds us that's quite harsh. But when you look at a tree, you can just relax, like your eye can rest on it and you can say that's a beautiful form that no one had anything to do with. And it's a way, I think, of being able to turn our mind off all those human aspects and just relax.
So biophilic architecture does foster urban ecology by creating opportunities for a richer, diverse ecosystem.
Park Royal on Pickering Hotel has been full from the day it opened. So many people see it as a place they would like to experience and stay in. So the gardens have actually become the biggest factor in driving guests into the hotel. And I have to say, it is a wonderful thing to see someone walking down the street, their eyes drift onto the building, they stop dead, they might tap their companion on the shoulder and then they point at the building, and the very first reaction they have is they move towards the building and they just want to go into it. And as an architect, there's nothing more rewarding than that.
I think the success of Garden by the Bay is successful in many layers. First of all, it created a space for citizens to share and to enjoy. At the same time, it's like an urban living room, right? When the visitors come to your city, that is the first place they visit, and then they learn about your city. Biophilic architecture is the first step towards a longer-term solution.
I think the more green our cities get, in fact, it will start snowballing and the more people will demand it.
Climate change affects all of us. Globally, we are seeing more weather extremes, such as droughts and flash floods. Singapore is fully committed to do our part to fight climate change, one of our priorities as we work on the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. Since our independence, we have worked hard to build a green and sustainable environment for Singaporeans. We believe that the pursuit of both economic growth and environmental protection is not contradictory but complementary. We use natural gas to generate most of our electricity and are among the 20 most carbon-efficient countries in the world. Singapore was among the first 55 countries to ratify the Paris Agreement. We aim to reduce our emissions intensity by 36% from 2005 levels by 2030. We designated 2018 as the year of climate action to raise domestic awareness and spur collective action. We are implementing an economy-wide carbon tax with no sectoral exemptions. We will be among the first countries in Asia to do so. We are also investing in solar energy and clean technology, developing more sustainable buildings, expanding our public transport infrastructure, and promoting a car-light urban environment. We have achieved a circular economy in our water sector by endlessly recycling the water we use. Going forward, we will also pursue a circular economy in the waste and material resources sector, investing in R&D and emerging technologies. Our integrated waste management facility will generate electricity, recover materials such as metals and recyclables, and reduce the strain on our only landfill. But we're only a small city-state. To make a global impact, we need to work with other countries, with each country making a contribution. We are committed to help others. Since 1992, over 119,000 officials from 170 countries have been trained under the Singapore Cooperation Programme. As 2018 ASEAN Chair, Singapore is working to strengthen regional commitment to climate action. Countries, international organizations, NGOs, and individuals all need to work together in partnership to combat climate change. Let us all work together to make a clean and sustainable environment a reality for future generations.
We are in this Keppel Desal plant. It looks wonderful because it has a good view of the city from here. But right below this beautiful open park is actually Singapore's 4th desalination plant. It has a capacity of 30 mgd, and it's our way to build resilience to our water supply system because it allows us to tap the seawater, desalination in case we need that water. And also it allows us to switch. We can also treat reservoir fresh water, brackish water. So it has that added resilience for us to be adaptable to the environment as we need. This is our way to integrate our infrastructure also to the environment, making it accessible to the public and offering the public a new place to go to. So I think in the Singapore story of sustainability, it's really incorporating our needs, whether it's water, or whether it's energy, whether it's food, and looking at how we can build that in an integrated way to the development of the city, offering still a place for people to go to and family to enjoy, even though we are very land scarce.
Access to clean, fresh water is one challenge that Singapore has overcome despite its lack of natural water resources. But water resilience is just one pillar of the country's sustainability journey. This year, the Environment and Water Resources Ministry was renamed the Ministry of Sustainability and the Environment to greater reflect the nation's priorities going forward. Ms. Grace Fu, who helms the ministry, tells us what this renaming means for Singapore.
I think it means that we have to look at our water, our food, our waste in a more holistic way. It's not just about preventing environmental pollution anymore. It's about looking at the resource and how do we make full use of the resource and recycle it as much as we can. We have done so in water. I think everybody is familiar with water reclamation and recycling now. We will do that for food, we will do that for other waste streams. Really, it's about reusing our resources a lot more so that we can develop, enjoy the kind of economic development, and yet in a sustainable pace. Because all of us want to live a better life, we want to enjoy the better things in life, we want to travel, we want to own our iPhones, we want to use our computer, but at the same time we're depleting Earth resources. So we need to find a way, a balance between human needs and also our draw on the Earth. We would like to have that really integrated into all our ministries. Sustainability is not just a vertical, it's also a horizontal layer that cuts across all ministries. Whether you're an MOE, you build a school, you can build it in a sustainable way, use less energy, or you are in transportation, you can look at public transportation with more renewable energy, for example, through electrification, lower emission. So we want to have that discussion in the public service. We will come up with a framework to guide public service in this area, and we hope that we can work together, whole of government, towards a more sustainable goal.
Between 2012 and 2015, Ms. Fu was Second Minister for the Environment and Water Resources. But the environmental sector has changed between then and now.
First of all, we have the food sector coming in. It wasn't before, it was actually in several ministries. There's some part in health, there's some part in MND. But when we brought together, it actually allowed us to look at this stream again from a sort of beginning to end. We look at from food supply, look at resilience, security, and also look at safety as we move into hygiene, look at retail and F&B, looking at food safety in a more holistic way, and also look at how to treat the waste. And I think that sort of signifies how we are thinking now in MSE. All the streams that we are working on, whether it's food, whether it's waste, whether it's water, energy, we're looking at looping it, we're looking at how to make a more sustainable use of the resource under us. Obviously, I think in the last few years, the movement towards sustainable development is actually, the momentum has increased, partly because of global action, partly also because the investors, the fund managers, the corporates themselves are beginning to realize that they cannot develop in an unsustainable way anymore because that's bad for business. So I think there's a great movement towards disclosure, towards reporting, and now we see this drive towards transiting to a low carbon future. And that has a great impact because not only are the companies themselves doing so, it adds on as a competitive advantage for companies that can do that well. And also some companies are demanding downstream from their supplier, from their service provider, that they too need to provide sustainable green products and services. So I think that this is a ripple effect that we are seeing, and we're very encouraged by that, and we want to see how we can help the corporates working with NGOs, working with the people sector, the community, to drive that change in behavior that we need.
Singapore's focus on sustainability is not new, but there are lessons to dealing with climate change that the country could draw on from the COVID-19 pandemic.
I think it has taught us a few things. I think we need to, first of all, have that resilience for resource. We have seen how supply disruptions have affected us in food, in many of the products that we're producing. We thought that we can import easily. We have, large logistical capability. But when there's disruptions, and disruptions caused one feedstock to affect another, assembly became chaotic because the parts were not coming together. And this is really a sign of what global disruptions mean. And I think we should really think about how to make ourselves a lot more resilient. So in the area of food, for example, we see that with climate change, there could be sort of large shortages across a whole sector. And therefore, we need to build up that resilience and have that local production capability. Because while diversification of sources can reduce the risk of disruption from individual countries, but local production capability will allow us to really be more resilient against sort of system-wide breakdown. So that's one. The second important area is to look at how we can be more economically resilient. So in other words, how do we continue to have activities even as we have safe distancing measurements, for example, again, allowing us to switch very quickly through digital means, responding very quickly, including how do we ensure that our place of work is clean, disinfected, and that we have good hygiene habits across the whole society, from where we eat in the hawker center to where we work, to really ensure that we are able to overcome some of this pandemic in the future.
Another scientific symposium here in Singapore. I see many people from Singapore as well as from other countries, that there are so many researchers who are interested in nanotechnology.
It gives a good spread of all different industries that are using the AFM in the industry, all the different technologies that can be used with it.
It's very informative. It looks at the advanced technologies of SPM, looking at the atomic force microscope and what sort of modes. It enables the user to easily use the AFM. Also looking into the future of high throughput AFM, especially for semicon, and also looking at new developments into the biological sector.
It's a chance to present our research on AFM and also to interact with people and learn the new advances happening in the field and to create a network of.
In the morning, we saw some research is done using AFMs, and I think they are quite impressive.
And we got to know some topic on the application of AFM from different kind of the speakers across the academy and also from the industry. It's quite a good informative event for me.
It's a very good opportunity to share the researchers' study, a lot of research field from the agricultural to the semiconductor industry.
The talks are quite interesting of how they apply the AFM in their research.
When I heard about this symposium, I feel excited. So I thought like, wow, one day with all the experts in the AFM.
It's amazing. I didn't expect so much people come. More and more interest in industrial application. The quality of the talk, it's a really high standard. I think that this symposium will be more successful in future.
name is Hubert Cho, and I am a senior at Chongqing International Academy. I've always been interested in how things look at the microscale, and I'm delighted that Park Systems has given me the opportunity to try out their atomic force microscopes and go even smaller. Yes, I first came across the AFM while looking up topics for a research project, and I was fascinated by the mechanisms and how it functioned. Although the name says microscope, I know that it isn't like a traditional microscope where we look through a lens, but that it scans a surface to create an image. Well, we've been coexisting with the coronavirus for almost 2 years now, and our first line of defense against it is face masks. I've always wondered what the filter looks like and how it protects us from the virus. I also have 2 dogs at home, and I was wondering what their fur would look like compared to our hair, so I did bring a few samples. After researching a bit about the AFM and how it works, I imagined it to be extremely complicated and complex, but now that I see it in person, it looks a lot more simple and elegant, almost, than I expected. So this is the FX40 up close, and I just learned about the parts in the scanning process. So we're about to put a real sample up here, and I'm excited to see how the actual scanning process goes. So we have our 2 samples ready here. One is the dog fur I procured from my house, from my lovely pets, and here we have just a normal KF94 mask ready to be cut. Now that we have the samples in place, I'm going to be picking up one of the chips with the probe hand using the computer here as the top. First, we go to probe, and this one, and probe pick up at. And we can see that the head is starting to move automatically. And it will pick up the chip using the magnetic force. Very gentle. And if you see on the screen here, the camera is now auto-focusing on the cantilever at the end of the chip. There we have it. The chip is ready to scan. So now we just need to move the probe hand over the sample. So move the center like this and then press go to. And we can see here that the position is now over the sample. So here we can see the mask filter up close with just the optical microscope. And it's a lot larger than I expected. For us to be able to scan at the nanoscale, we would have to go much smaller, but here we can already see, and this is what the filter looks like. So it seems there's not much to do by scanning this. So surprisingly, this is a bit too big to scan with the AFM, so I guess we're going to go on to the next sample. Finally, I'm going to be trying my hand at nanolithography, which is basically just lithography writing, but on a nanoscale. So I'll be writing on this sample here. Let's put this in. we finished setting up now, and we can see here, this is where we're going to be writing this design. And yes, we can just press the button and start. See, the tip is now slowly moving and engraving the design into the sample. Okay, so here we have the images that I scanned today, organized. First, we have the dog hair and the human hair. I first brought the dog hair here thinking that up close they would look very different. But now that I've actually scanned it, we can see that they actually look pretty similar. And this is the first time I've seen a hair up close, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that it's not as smooth as I originally thought it was. We can see the rough layers in between. Secondly, here, this is a picture of a hard drive. So I was curious how data was written on a metal disc, so we scanned it using a magnetic tip. And here we can see that the data is written differently depending on the position of the hard drive. That was very interesting to see. And finally, we have the lithography design that I did. We scanned the height here, and here we can see that there's no design there. But when we scan using electrical signals, the design appears very clearly. And that sums up my time here today at Park Systems. Well, this is my first experience with an AFM, so I don't really have any past experiences to compare it to. But the FX40 was surprisingly easy to operate. Considering that the mechanisms behind it are very complex, I thought it would be a lot more difficult to handle. But I don't know, because of the simple interface, I think that it was a lot more simple to control. Well, the engineers here were very friendly, so they answered any questions that I had, and that combined with the user-friendly interface, and as you can see here, only the fundamental parts of the FX40 are visible, so I could see exactly what I was doing while I worked. So that contributed to having the FX40 very easy to control. The lithography was very intriguing. When I first put the design on the screen, I didn't really have an idea of how small that would be, but then I saw the dimensions, which is 50 by 50 micrometers, and I realized that that is about the width of a strand of hair. And seeing the device writing the design into the sample, I was very surprised by how precise the technology that we have can be. I had a great time here today. I learned so much about the nano world, and I truly want to thank Park Systems for having me here today. Thank you.
Introducing ParkFX, a new class of atomic force microscope, the automatic AFM. ParkFX is an automatic AFM that infuses artificial intelligence and robotics into scanning probe microscopy, enabling nanoscale advances at an unprecedented speed and accuracy. Now, scientists and engineers can push the envelope of innovation because FX does all the setup and scanning work with integrated machine learning, automating the entire process. The AI-driven auto probe exchange on ParkFX takes care of probe placements and exchanges with built-in robotics and detects and warns of incorrectly placed probes. The probe identification camera recognizes and extracts full information on each of the tips available, including the type, model, application, and usage. From there, the ParkFX, through its advanced AI, automatically aligns the laser beam and the photodetector so it is ready for scanning. ParkFX holds up to 4 different samples on the chuck, and through the sample camera, it effortlessly finds and selects the desired spot for scanning. The whole process of tip landing and scanning from start to finish is done automatically. Auto parameter setting, auto landing of the probe to sample, and dynamic scanning at optimum image quality and speed. The entire electromechanical system in ParkFX has been redesigned to drastically reduce the noise beyond previous limits, ensuring nanoscale scanning at the highest resolution and accuracy. ParkFX is a groundbreaking new class of AFM that completely changes the perception of atomic force microscope.
Park Systems is a global manufacturer of atomic force microscopy systems, also known as AFM, and emerging nanoscale microscopes. Our customers include almost all major universities and national labs around the world, all leading semiconductor and data storage companies, and many other companies throughout various industries. We have the most comprehensive line of AFM and related nanoscale microscopy products, ranging from general-purpose research products to high-end, large automated AFM systems valued over $1 million. Park Systems' line of AFM for the semiconductor industry offer failure analysis methods unsurpassed in the industry, with 4 out of 5 leading wafer manufacturers using the Park AFM system. We welcome you to browse our website and let us know how we can help you with nanometrology solutions. Contact Park Systems today or visit our website at parksystems.com.
Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, is a world-leading research-intensive university. The growth of Asia has seen a rise in ambitious young Asian universities like NTU Singapore. As part of its Smart Campus vision, NTU is embracing technologies for better living. And learning. The cosmopolitan community is made up of 40,000 students, staff and faculty, and an alumni family of more than 220,000 in 150 countries. The sprawling campus is an ideal testbed as leading industry players work with NTU on tomorrow's technologies. It has an ecosystem to support entrepreneurship and the translation of research into practical applications. NTU is globally recognized for its excellence in research and education, in engineering, science, business, humanities, arts and social sciences, and education. Its joint medical school with Imperial College London has an innovative curriculum that draws on the strengths of both universities. Students enjoy a vibrant campus life and a well-rounded education. Recognized for its sustainability, NTU is frequently named among the top 15 most beautiful campuses in the world.
Nanyang Technological University Singapore is embracing Industry 4.0 technologies on its smart campus to tackle many global issues. Besides being one of the most beautiful campuses in the world, NTU is also a living testbed for cutting-edge technologies and is set to be one of the most eco-friendly. It combines its research expertise with industries and the government for bigger breakthroughs and greater societal impact. The world's first full-size autonomous electric bus has undergone rigorous trials at the Center of Excellence for Testing and Research of Autonomous Vehicles at NTU, a unique testbed dedicated to piloting smart transportation technologies. NTU continues to integrate automation and robotics that aim to improve lives and industrial efficiencies. Digital transformation of the university extends in many different ways, from academic programs to learner-centered curricula to immersive technologies and communication. Various digital applications were also introduced to students, faculty, and staff for better administrative productivity and efficiencies. NTU is involved in every stage of the learning journey, from early childhood education to upskilling the workforce. Whilst technology is transforming the lives of people everywhere, NTU is also studying and mitigating any negative impact it may have on humanity. Climate change is one of Singapore's biggest threats. Harnessing the power of digital technology, NTU aims to achieve a 35% reduction in waste, water, and energy intensity by 2021, supporting better living experiences, new discoveries, and resource sustainability. The NTU Smart Campus is a key pillar of Singapore's Smart Nation vision. Through its 200-hectare campus, NTU develops and testbeds emerging technologies that will transform the way we learn, work, and live.
There are disruptive changes sweeping across the world because of the fourth industrial revolution and rapid technological advances. There are jobs that do not yet exist and knowledge and skills that are not yet available in the curricula of many universities. We'll have to reimagine new models of learning and adjust the way we teach and learn.
Equilibrium law, we can write that the concentration of OH minus times the concentration.
This is phosphorus, this is carbon. You're going cold now.
Yeah.
Professor Low loves diamond and gold.
We build software, build solutions to actually help our customers be more efficient as well.
We aim to be a leading global university that inspires and innovates for positive societal impact.
身体觉得好吗？
As the national university, NUS intends to be at the forefront of this revolution, to nurture leaders of society working together in the spirit of innovation and enterprise. We will embed lifelong learning in the NUS DNA to ensure that we create knowledge and value for Singapore and Singaporeans.
SMU is Singapore's only university campus in the heart of the CBD and Civic Precinct.
Located in the city centre, we are connected by 4 MRT stations and bus routes to every part of the island.
One of the most exciting places in SMU is right here at Campus Green, a natural focal point and central gathering space for us students, faculty, and the public. Many students' activities and events are hosted here, like Patrons Day, SMU Art Festival, even public events like the Singapore Night Festival. Some of our favourites are the outdoor movie screenings and the concerts.
There are many amazing chill-out spots on campus, like this alfresco deck right above the library, which overlooks the Fort Canning Green. It is also a great place for gathering with friends. In between classes, I like to hang around the library to do my readings, and I like it because there's a lot of natural light. And when I need a break, I'll look out the windows to enjoy the beautiful view.
When I need to distress or take a break from schoolwork, I usually hit the gym. It has 3 levels of facilities, including a dance studio at the basement. Did I mention that we have a rooftop pool in SMU as well? Or if you're feeling more adventurous, we have an 11-meter high rock wall in the sports hall.
Food-wise, SMU offers a wide selection of tasty options across different cuisines.
Grab an acai bowl, some pasta, there's something for every taste bud here.
But personally, I think the best thing is that I can get bubble tea easily in SMU.
Over here at SMU Connection is where we live, work, and play. There's a game room in this net zero energy building where we can chill out. In addition to active learning classrooms, we have this co-working space, which is a hotspot for aspiring entrepreneurs to come together and brainstorm new ideas.
Speaking of coming together, the SMU Concourse is an underground pathway that links most of the buildings in our city campus.
One of the unique things about SMU is our interactive pedagogy. Only SMU conducts all our classes in a seminar format. This creates a supportive environment for interactive and stimulating discussions and also fosters close relationships between faculty and students.
If you're interested in hostel life, you can apply to be a resident at Princeps Street Residences, which is just a 10-minute walk away from campus. A home away from home, Princeps Street Residences, also known fondly as PSR, is a communal living concept that encourages co-living, learning and working among students. Facilities here include a hub, a multi-game court, and a rooftop terrace for our gatherings.
At SMU, every day brings with it a new experience. My journey at SMU has been challenging yet fulfilling thus far. SMU has given me the chance to lead projects that I'm passionate about and to work with individuals who constantly motivate me. With SMU's new programs and facilities, I look forward to the upcoming opportunities and to create more memories here.
Be part of our vibrant community, and I hope to see you in our city campus soon.
Design is many things to different people. Most would associate it with art, fashion, and graphics. But that is only one facet of this multi-dimensional concept. Design, more importantly, is also the creation of human-centered solutions. They can be solutions to everyday challenges that make life easier, like adding wheels to your luggage to create the modern 4-wheel suitcase. Or they could be solutions to global challenges that affect the lives of millions, like the creation of a shared network where information can be exchanged at any time by anyone at any location, what we now call the Internet. Design is the sum of ideas and expertise from different fields to create an effective, efficient, and sustainable solution. Nurturing design innovators is crucial to the continued advancement of humankind in a world bombarded by unprecedented challenges. They will transform our lives, drive innovation, grow economies sustainably. And at Singapore University of Technology and Design, also known as SUTD, our mission is to nurture the future generation of design innovators. Inspired by the evolution of design thinking, SUTD is revolutionizing design and leading the charge towards a new era of innovation. Students, of which 40% are female, are trained in design innovation and are immersed in a collaborative learning environment where they can easily go from concept to prototype, programming and testing. An interdisciplinary curriculum brings together 5 degree programs for more holistic and creative innovations, be it in education or research. We are united and inspired by a single-minded goal of improving lives and safeguarding our planet. We call this a better world by design. From autonomous systems that can learn and adapt to new innovations in sustainable materials, design with the power of AI can help build smarter, more enjoyable cities, unlocking breakthroughs beyond our wildest imagination. It will also help power our economy to stay competitive into the future. Design powered by technology and AI truly is here to help us build a better world.
Can you imagine a world with zero waste? A circular economy which closes the waste loop. Imagine a low-carbon future where greenhouse gases can be turned into energy or building materials, where electric vehicles have batteries built into their structure so they are lighter and travel longer distances per charge, and where smart buildings block external noise and heat. A-Star continues to do research in these areas under Singapore's Research, Innovation and Enterprise RIE 2025 plan. Against the backdrop of climate change, researchers across disciplines at A-Star develop urban and green technologies for Singapore. To build a sustainable future, we must continue to innovate, create public-private partnerships, and collaborate with the rest of the RIE ecosystem. Find out more about sustainability here.
Come on, world, we got to do this. This is good for us. The key is that the Sustainable Development Goals are achievable and they're really smart. The 193 governments of the world came together on a good thing, which is to make sure that there's prosperity, that it's fairly shared, and that it is environmentally sustainable.
All 17 goals are interconnected, but there is a very important relationship between health, education, and security that we really need to recognize. And in order to really propel that forward, we have to talk about the role of women and girls education, women's reproductive rights, and how that really does transform the entirety of the SDG strategy.
The big thing about the Sustainable Development Goals is they are for everybody and they're about everybody. So my first thing would be to say, what do you care most about? You worried about feminism, you worried about education, you worried about jobs, you worried about climate, and then say to them, well, actually, your government has said, has made a promise that they will actually find solutions to those things. So when you're fighting at your most local level, you're part of a huge global fight, and you can apply the global muscle to that local level.
Empower people or tell people the solutions or the ways that they can actually make a difference, but they can see that they can take control of their own environment.
Education is the key to make the change, truly leaving no one behind.
As your generation, to do something that nobody has done before. You'll be the first ones to do it. And if you do it, nobody has to do it anymore after you. So you'll be the only ones to do it. And that is to irreversibly eradicate poverty in a more sustainable and equitable way.
Women all over the world, from the US to other parts of the world, are doing their bit. It's time for the rest of the world to walk the talk. And then we'll have a better world.
Don't settle for small things. You can redesign the whole world in the way you can imagine. Don't just go for little things here and little things there. That's not what the capacity that you have is good for. Your capacity is to do massive things, mega things.
It's really getting people where they're comfortable and saying, listen, you don't have to work on all 17, that's not the idea, but it's about engaging them in kind of the ecosystem and saying, this is what we're working towards.
This is the one proper plan on the table that deals with every single issue. And I think that's something that people want and will increasingly fight for. And a plan with a deadline, which is always exciting.
We all have to be committed to give equal opportunities to the poor. And if you offer equal opportunities to the poor, then we're talking about a more prosperous and stable world.
These SDGs are an opportunity for us to be able to look at the needs of society and create that plan and implement that plan of making the world a place that fills the needs for all of us.
We have to find smart ways, strategic ways to sustain our planet.
Now it's time to roll up our sleeves and really get to work, to build trust and show true leadership.
We need people all over the world to be saying we need responsible action.
And we need young people, we need new ideas, we need innovative strategies to actually be able to move forward.